Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Dave Collins. I am the founder and CEO of Oak and Reads. It's an interactive training business I founded 10 years ago. I'm based in Castro Valley, but I work all around the country. And today's session is just like you're reading on these lovely little yellow papers. It's Improv for HR, which is something I made up. And it's something that I've been teaching for a long time. My background is twofold. I started my career as a change management consultant, working with lots of large organizations, federal government agencies, helping people adapt to changes in their workplace, changes in their organization. Did a lot of workshops, a lot of training, a lot of coaching. The other half of my background is I'm an improviser. I've been coaching and performing improv comedy for over 20 years. And 10 years ago, I combined those two halves of my business to form Oak and Reads, an interactive training company, where I take elements of improvisational comedy and improvisational theater, and I teach them to people in a corporate context as a way to do the things we're going to talk about today. Be better leaders, be better communicators, be more comfortable thinking on your feet, and also just to genuinely enjoy being around our teammates a little bit more. I'm going to get to some of the nuts and bolts today, but I also wanted to introduce the name of my business because it's relevant to what we're going to talk about. The name of my business is Oak and Reads, and I named my business this for two reasons. The first is it's the name of an Aesop's fable that I found to be really compelling. Are we familiar with Aesop's fables? Yeah, what's an Aesop's fable we know? Princess and the Pea? I think that's a nursery or no, you're onto it though. They sound help her out. What's an Aesop's fable we know? Tortoise and the Hare. Yeah, Hansel and Gretel. We're on the sort of the grim fairy tales track. Yes, the crow who put the pebbles in the water. I also don't know the name of that one, but you're right. Aesop's Fables, Tortoise and the Hare is the one we all know. Does anyone know the story of the Oak and the Reeds? Right, that brings me to my second reason why I named my business Oak and Reads, and it's because the URL was available. So it was just worked out. And so the story goes like this, the 30-second version. There was a big, tall oak tree standing by the side of a river. And the oak tree was talking to some reeds, these tall grasses. And the oak tree had a little bit of an ego, kind of an attitude. And the oak tree was saying, look at me, I'm this big, beautiful oak tree. I've got these deep roots, this massive trunk, huge, strong branches, thousands of healthy leaves. And look at you, you're just a bunch of flimsy grass. Every time there's a little gust of wind, you basically blow over and touch the ground. You're weak. But then, overnight, things changed. A huge storm rolled in. Thunder, lightning, rain, hail, wind, the works. And the storm was so strong, it actually tore the oak tree up from the ground, snapped the trunk in half, and killed it instantly. But the reeds survived. Every time there was a gust of wind, they blew over. And then when the storm was done, they popped right back up, just like nothing had happened. So the moral of the story is pretty clear. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. It doesn't matter how many years you've been in business, or how many degrees you have, or how many billions of dollars under management, or how many employees. What matters in the face of change, what matters in the face of uncertainty, is flexibility. And that's what I teach. I teach it every day. I've been teaching it for a decade plus. And this is just one small snippet of the broader array of classes I teach to leaders and managers about how to be more flexible in your roles. Because it's 2025. If you thought you knew what was happening this year at the beginning of this year, you are probably a billionaire and you probably made a lot of money. But it is unpredictable out there. And so these are skills that are just as important as they have been for decades, if not even more so right now. That's the context. This is the TV show. Who's yell it out. What's the name of this show? Whose line is it anyway? Round of applause. Who here has seen this TV show? Yes. It's great. If you haven't seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, it's an improv comedy TV show. It's the best there ever was, probably the best there ever will be. It's all on YouTube. You can watch hundreds of hours of some of the best improvisers in the world do improv comedy. And if you haven't seen improv comedy, there are lots of theaters in the Bay Area where you can go see a show. It's cheap, $5, see a great show. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is not what we're going to do today. So do not worry if you can't sing like Wayne Brady or do characters like Keegan-Michael Key or just be silly like Ryan Stiles. I'm not here to teach you how to be funny. I'm guessing you're probably already funny. That's not a business skill. That's not a leadership skill, just being funny. So this isn't about comedy. This isn't about jokes. And this isn't about playing characters or doing acting. Improv, when you boil it down, has much more meaningful applications than just getting up on stage and being silly. However, it is really fun. So I would encourage you, if you're interested, I can recommend you to a lot of improv theaters that'll teach you that. But I want to focus on why this matters at work. So here is the real nuts and bolts of why we're here. We're going to do 3 things. I have 3 key skills I want to teach you in the next 35 plus minutes. The first is about dealing with our fear of failure. I had an improv show last Friday at my theater in Fremont. It was great. Something I've taught myself over the years is that making mistakes in front of strangers is fun. That may not be you right now. That's okay. However, making mistakes is the first step toward learning. And so if we want to create cultures in our organization where people can feel freedom to explore and be curious and learn, we have to give people freedom to make a mistake and not feel terrible about it. That's the first thing I want to cover. The second thing I want to cover is this concept of yes-anding. Round of applause. Who here has heard of the words yes and before? Yeah, a few people. Interesting. More people seem to have watched Whose Line Is It Anyway than know yes and, which is interesting. Yes and is the engine behind improv. It's the whole idea, and it's the #1 secret to building new ideas, being innovative and being creative. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to practice it today. And then we're going to talk about being spontaneous. If we have a little time, I'm going to do an exercise where I'm going to bring some people up front, and we're going to do a little thinking on our feet. If that sounds terrifying, you are the person I want to see up here, because that's going to be really exciting and new and different for you. But not everyone has to do it. Do not worry. I won't make anyone do anything. You can always walk out. That's always an option. But these are the 3 things I want to cover when it comes to improv for HR leadership. How does this agenda sound? Good, pretty cool. All right. If you're not that interested in this agenda, I don't know what to tell you, because this is what we're going to do for the next 30 minutes. Let's move on. All right. Why improv? Why does this matter? I'm actually curious. Let's open it up to the room. Why do you think these skills are important, specifically in your role as HR leaders? Yeah, let's go here and then let's go there. Yeah, just shout it out. Quick thinking. Why does quick thinking matter?
Because every day is unpredictable, and you never know what comes at the end of the phone call or the email.
I love that. Every day is unpredictable. You never know what's coming next in your inbox. Yeah, I love that. We had a thought here, and then we'll come back here.
Everything's in the gray. There's no such thing as black and white.
Tell me more.
I've always believed that HR is, nothing is necessarily set in stone. Of course, there's laws, but every person is different. My mother used to say in Spanish, cada cabeza es un mundo, is everybody's mind is their own, and that's what you have to deal with.
I love that. Yeah, everyone's mind is their own. That's what you have to deal with. And you have to meet people where they are, right? You don't know where that is. You'd have thought too.
Okay. Helps you be a leader and an advocate of change, because change is inevitable.
I love that. Yeah, being a leader, a change leader, and also an advocate for change. Improv is one of those skills that I put at the forefront of creating an organization that embraces change and doesn't shrink or run from change. These are skills that help a lot of the emotions of change be a little less scary. Walking into the unknown, dealing with that sense of what's next. Improv is a great practice ground for that. So I love these answers. Big picture, culture is right there in your area of control. Not that you can control culture, but very often cultural initiatives come through you and are something that you are responsible for being a steward of. What does it mean to work here? What does it mean to interact with each other? That's where these skills can come in, where you can bring a lot of this to your teams. It's also thinking about managers. This is where I really want to be clear. How do you set the standard for how your people leaders manage each other or manage their teams? How do they communicate? How do they listen? How do they make mistakes and recover from them? That's a really critical skill, and this is something I teach to managers all the time. It's a really fundamental people management skill. A lot of what we're talking about, taking someone's ideas, building on them, supporting them, shows up a lot in coaching, shows up a lot in feedback, shows up a lot just basically in how can you make sure people are comfortable when they're thrown something completely unexpected. Talk about all those. And then there's also the big pressure of burnout. Who's facing that in their organization? A little bit. A lot of what can contribute to burnout is change fatigue. People being put in these high pressure situations where they're asked to think on their feet and do things differently time and time again. Improvisational skills can be really useful when you put them in that context and talk about we are developing a muscle when we go through a change. It's something we can get better at. So again, these are some of the applications for these skills. There's many, many more, but I do want to get into practice. Okay. Mindset. Yes-anding is a mindset. What yes-anding really means is you listen to ideas and you build on them. That's all it is. Instead of shooting an idea down the minute you can't quite figure out exactly how it could be perfect, instead you validate and build. And if this is something you can embody, it's a very infectious approach to being a leader. So that's the overarching concept I want to get to today through our practice. First step is dealing with failure. Who, with a show of hands, loves making very loud, very public mistakes? Yeah, no one. I'd actually be very curious. I never get hands. Actually, there's usually someone, and they always have a specific reason. Making mistakes is something we unlearn as adults. As children, we are excellent mistake makers. We make hundreds, if not thousands of mistakes every day, every week, and we learn from that. That's why little kids learn so fast. They're constantly testing, they're realizing where boundaries are, and they're stopping. Oh, there go my slides. I don't know what that's about. They're constantly testing and trying to figure out, how does the world work? This is a learning process. Whether you're learning a skill like a language or an instrument or a sport, you make a ton of mistakes and you get better. You speak the language in front of fluent speakers and you grit and bear it as you know you're not conjugating the verbs right. But that's how you learn a language. Practicing the piano, you're bad for a long time. Practicing a new sport, learning pickleball or whatever you've learned in the pandemic, right? You're bad at the beginning. You do it poorly until you're good. We unlearn this now because we get punished for not being perfect. Here's an example. Literally, as I showed up today, I got a text from my wife. My son's 2 years old, and he just started preschool. Picked up Milo, and he's wearing his backup clothes. Apparently, he tried to use the potty, and he peed all over himself. LOL. He tried. He's going to get better at it, right? This is the thing we want to celebrate. He tried it. He's never done that before. That was like 2 hours ago, right? He doesn't care. Preschool teacher changed his clothes. He's good to go, right? I was thinking about, what if I did that before this talk right now? I would be mortified. He had a very different day today than I did, but he's getting better, right? Tomorrow, he probably won't pee all over himself when he tries to use the potty. And the difference there is his approach to failure. So how do we change ours? We give ourselves a tool. We want to start to think of failure really as practice. Practice is just a series of controlled failures. All it is. And in order to celebrate that, I want to practice our first tool. So anytime for the rest of this workshop, and maybe for the rest of your lives, if this is really sticking with you, anytime you make a mistake as you're learning something new, instead of getting nervous or upset or embarrassed and wanting to go to the back of the room, I want you to celebrate that failure. I want you to take what's called a failure bow. I want you to stick your arms up as wide as they go and yell as loud as you can, "I failed!" And then take a big, ridiculous-looking bow and give yourselves a little round of applause. And we're all going to do that together, so we all feel awkward and weird the very first time. We're going to do it right now. So stand up if you're able to, and let's take our first failure bow as a group. Get as loud as you can, because we're all going to feel silly doing this together. So on the count of 3, arms up, I failed, and then a big bow. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I failed! Yes, big bow. Give yourselves a round of applause. Amazing. It's ridiculous, right? But this is what Milo did today when he peed on himself, right? We have fun with mistakes as little kids, and we get it taken out of us. Ways you can do this back at your organization. You can do this in different ways. I have a lot of clients do this differently. I have a client that has a failure jar. Every time someone makes a mistake or misspeaks or gets the thing wrong, they put $1 in the failure jar, and then when it fills up, they buy everyone breakfast burritos. Right? Super simple, a way to make it less costly. You can have a little secret emoji you use on Slack or in your team chat. It's almost like an inside joke. What you're doing is saying, I'll own that, I made the mistake, let's move on. One team invented the failure elephant. It was an emoji that none of them use, so it will pop in and say, hey, you know what, I'll own that, my bad. But it also, only the people on that team knew it. So it's kind of like a little secret. Fail of the week. A lot of my clients did this during COVID. A virtual meeting fail of the week. In March, April, May 2020, things that people messed up so you can learn from it. I'll laugh at myself, but hey, you don't want to do this, so we can lower the perceived cost. And Milo's going to get ice cream tonight because he tried to use the potty, right? I just added that bullet in. So again, rewarding these little moments of a mistake so that you don't feel so embarrassed. What else could you do? What do you think? Or have you tried any of these things? What might this look like in your organization? Yeah. I love that. I'm going to use some words for that. Accountability, ownership, right? Again, back to that earlier slide. Why does this matter as HR leaders? People see you taking accountability, owning it. Again, maybe taking a failure bow. It builds respect and it builds trust, right? That ownership.
It's also humbling. And I think as leaders, it's kind of like lead by example.
Yep. It's hard to be humble in these settings. So again, this is something, it's gotta feel right to you. It doesn't have to be a big bow, but you might have something different that works for you. Yeah.
There are progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And we write to edit. So the idea is that like everything's a draft.
Yeah. Progress, not perfection. We write to edit. Everything's a draft. I love those approaches. Those are very improv approaches. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, one that struck me was a manager. She not the company anymore, but first came in, licensed attorney, not part of the job that she did, very strong individual. Called a team meeting. She said, here's my take on mistakes. We all make them. She shared one that she had made, quite a big one, prior company, to set the tone. She said, if you make a mistake, literal words, don't sugarcoat it, come find me, don't bullshit me.
Yeah.
She said, I'd rather hear it from you than a client 2 weeks later and dig it out of you.
Yep.
She said, have humility, have courage.
That's great. I love a great story. Great example. Yeah, one more thought.
I just want to point out something. I think one of the things that you mentioned, when kids make mistakes, and then when we get older, we tend to like shriek from those mistakes. But I do believe it does come full circle, because once you hit a certain age, you're like, I do not. If I made a
Yeah.
mistake, I made a
Yep.
mistake, and you own up to it. There's a certain age that women hit that I think we all get to a point where like, okay, I made a mistake. Let's move on. So I think we do come full circle
Yeah.
around it.
That's a really good point, right? And I think a lot of people get there. Some people don't. Some people don't become as self-aware, right? But I love that approach, right? You get better at this as you get more experience. Yeah.
So I actually, my previous company, the CEO, he had a thing that would tell us basically fail fast.
Mm-hmm. And why did he want that?
So his thing was, we're going to make mistakes, but we learn from it, we move on, and we learn from it. Fail fast. Don't wallow in it.
Yeah.
Figure it out what happened, and we improve.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to end it, because one of the fun things about improv is when you make a mistake on stage, you have an instant opportunity to do something new, right? You just do the next thing, and most often people don't even notice that you missed something, or you said the wrong name, or you misquoted someone. Fast. You keep going, not wallowing. So I don't want to wallow or dwell on this too much. I want to get to the really juicy part. I want to get to yes-anding. Yes-anding, at its core, is the only rule in improv. And yes-anding has been used a lot in a lot of different business circles and training circles. HBR loves writing about yes-and all of its applications in modern corporate context. But at its core, all yes-anding is when someone approaches you with an idea, you react by validating the idea and building on it. It does not mean you have to 100% agree with everything that comes across your desk. It's not what I'm arguing. Instead, it's listening to what they're actually saying. That's the yes. Making sure you understand it, and then adding some little bit to improve that idea. That's what it is. Yeah, I see a hand.
So what happens when you present the most absurd idea or the one that's just set up for failure? Like there's just so many problems with this idea. Where do I even begin with all the problems?
Yeah, I'm going to show a slide later that gets a great question. So the question is, what happens if someone presents an idea that's absolutely ridiculous? You say no to that idea, right?
Or even if it's half-baked, like there's some value
Yeah.
in it, and like maybe 50%
Yep.
of that, but still the other 50% is like there's holes in it. It really is a half-baked idea.
So that's a different example, right? A half-baked idea. A half-baked idea is a perfect use case for yes-anding. And I want to come back to this because this is a great question. One of my favorite quotes about why yes-and works is from a guy named Keith Johnstone. He's an improv coach. He writes about the difference between saying yes and no. Those who say yes are rewarded by the adventures they have. Those who say no are rewarded by the safety they attain. And I want to be super clear. I'm at an HR conference. There are a lot of lawyers among us. You're not supposed to say yes to every idea. That is not what I'm advocating. But to pause for a moment when someone comes up with an idea and ask yourself, is this an opportunity for adventure and creativity? Or is this a situation where I and my organization need safety? What's actually called for rather than what's my habit or what's my typical response? And this may mean you're only really saying yes and to one more idea a day. That would be a win. You know what? This is a half-baked idea. Yes, I like this one part of it. And if you added this one additional thing, it might be more interesting. Come back to me next week with an improved version. The idea with yes-anding is the first idea often isn't very good. You might have to build on that idea over and over and over again to get to idea number 72. That idea might be great, but you don't get there if you say no the first time. That's the adventure of it. Yes, question? Yeah. Yep. You're on to my next slide. This is perfect. So people often get hung up on the word yes. Yes means I agree. That's not what I'm arguing. This idea, this concept, this approach can sound different. So some other ways to phrase it. Yeah, I love this part of it, and we could also try another version. We could try it at this upcoming meeting. Or, that's interesting, tell me more. That's a yes and. I'm interested, yes, I heard your idea, and I need a little more from you. That's a perfectly valid version. I'd like to explore that in more detail. Or, here I'm asking for your input. This isn't a fully fleshed out idea, but here's my 2 cents. How could you improve it? These are all versions of yes anding or calling for yes and. That's a great idea. Let's see if everyone as a group can build on that. Or, I like that as a starting point. Where can we go from here? Some of those don't even use the word yes and don't even use the word and, but the idea is you're validating what you just heard and you're moving the conversation forward. Here's how this looks when I do it on stage. In an improv show, I might come on stage with my scene partner, Sonia, and she'll come on here and say, Dave, look at this amazing cruise ship. I can't imagine how much fun we're going to have on our vacation. She's starting a scene. We're on a cruise, right? I can't then say, Sonia, what are you talking about? That's not a cruise ship. That's a dog. What are you talking about? You're being dumb. I'm not agreeing, right? We're making it up as we go. So I have to validate, yes, there's a cruise ship here. Yes, this is someone I'm related to or married to. And I have to give us the next thing to do in the scene. So I have to say, oh, what an amazing cruise ship. Can't believe we got such a good deal on these tickets. Let's grab our suitcases and go on board. That gives us some momentum. It gives us the next thing to do, and then she gets to come up with something we can do, and together we build a whole world together. But if I start with a no, even if I can make a quick joke, ruins the whole thing. We have nowhere to go from there. Are you with me so far? Is this making sense? You want to try it? Yes! Okay, let's tee that one up. You're here, you might as well try it. Let's do one of my favorite exercises. This is the whole reason I wanted to do this. What we're going to do is I'd like to get a couple volunteers to demonstrate this exercise that we're going to do for about 5 minutes in small groups. Once we do a demo, we'll just have you form little groups of 5 or 6, and we can make little circles in the aisle, and we can have a group here and a group here. But before we do that, I'd love to get, let's say, 3 volunteers up here to demonstrate what we're going to do in small groups. Who wants to be a demo? This is easy. This is painless. I promise you. Everyone can do this. Yes, 1, 2, a third person. Yes, amazing. Round of applause for our brave volunteers. Let's have you stand right here in front of I don't want you to get blinded by the very powerful AV equipment. All right, thank you for being my volunteers. This exercise is my beginner version of yes anding. It's called I'm a tree. And this is an exercise you can all bring back to your teams. The way this works is we're going to practice yes anding. So one person is going to step forward. So who wants to step forward? And you're going to say, I'm a tree.
I'm a tree.
And you can kind of be a tree, right? Beautiful. Okay. So now the next person has to come here into the circle and add something to the tree. What goes with a tree?
I'm a bird flying over to the tree.
Perfect. Okay. You got a tree, you got a bird. Now the third person, what goes with this little scene we're making?
Yes, and look at the view of the lake both of you have. It's just amazing.
Okay, great. So let me to make it simple, why don't you just be a lake, right? So you're just a lake. We're going to be a thing. We're all going to be things. Once you have 3 people in the, so stay in there. Yeah, perfect. I love it. Yeah, be the lake. Once you have 3 people in the circle, the first person in the circle picks one of the other 2 things and takes them out of the circle. So what do you want to take out of the circle with you?
Sure. I need to work.
Take the bird. Okay, so you'll say, I'll take the bird.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, you take the bird and you're back here, leaving Mark, and you are the same exact thing you were before. So what are you?
Lake?
I'm a lake. And we repeat. So what goes with a lake? You're no longer a tree. You're out of the circle. So what goes with a lake?
I am a lake.
A boat.
Perfect.
I'm a duck.
Yes, get in there. And now, Mark, since you were the first person, you take one of those things out.
Okay, I remember who was who.
Bottom duck.
Who was which?
I'm a boat.
I'm a duck.
I'll take the boat out.
Great, so you leave. All right, so you get how this works. It repeats each time. The first person in waits for all three, and then they take one out, and then it resets, and we're going to go in a lot of different directions. You understand the instructions? All right, here's how we're going to do this. So first of all, round of applause for our brave volunteers. Let's make some groups. So here's what I'm going to say. How about this group of people form a circle over here? This crew right here, you can form a circle, how about right here? We'll make a group over here. You can form a circle back by the door. And this group of four, why don't you make a circle right here in the middle? And whenever you've got your crew, one person enters the circle, starts it. I'm a tree. And we'll see how far we can go. I'll come around to help out. Yeah. So the tree takes someone out. Just three. Just three. Yep, just three. They're going to do the next round. Yeah. So it takes them out. Great. So you leave. And what are you again? All right. So what goes to the flower? Perfect. Great. Great. Who was the first person in?
Me.
Yeah, so the tree. You took the fruit out, leaving who's
I did it wrong then. Okay,
yeah, so who was left?
flour, dirt, and
Flower. Oh, it's just three. You just need three.
Oh, it's just three.
Let's try again. Try again.
All right, try it.
It's all right. I failed in explaining it. Yeah.
I failed in explaining it.
Yeah.
Okay, so two of us don't need to be in there.
Yeah, so you're a tree? What goes with a tree? Just three at a time. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a tree.
Yeah.
Yes, and we said
Yeah.
3 and 2.
Perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have a rainbow in the beach.
Okay, great. So who was first in the circle?
It was me. I was the sky.
Okay, so you take one thing out.
I already took out the
So it should just be three people.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So let's leave one. You only need three per round. So who's? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The fourth person, how do they hop in?
They wait for the next round. You're doing a bunch.
So the person chooses someone to lead, and then
Yeah.
that person leads themselves.
Yes.
And then the remaining person chooses.
The remaining person is the same thing again, and other people jump in and add.
So we can still do this.
Yeah.
You're still the beach. You're still the rainbow. So my first round, being the tree, I get to compliment the two of you with beach and rainbow.
Reset. Reset the whole thing.
Okay.
Start again. Someone come in and be a tree. I'm a tree. What goes with a tree?
I'm a swing.
A swing. Perfect. What goes with a tree and a swing?
I said I was the sky.
All right, you're the sky. Great. I'm going to take the swing out.
Okay.
So now you stay the same. What are you? All right, so what goes with the sky? No, it could be anything. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah.
Sky. So what goes in the sky?
So you take someone out.
Okay.
Great. So what are you?
I'm the park.
Perfect. So what goes with the park? Just keep it resets.
So we did a few things and then we backed out, but they were a little lost.
Okay, so who's left in the circle?
So I was a building, and then she was a duck, and then they did all the stuff around the building.
Okay, it just needs to be three people. It's three people per round. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's confusing. Yeah. All right, so let's start again. Who wants to be a tree? Say what you are.
I'm a tree.
Perfect. What goes with the tree?
I'm a butterfly.
Perfect. So tree, take one of those things out.
Bye, Lee.
And you leave two.
I'm a butterfly.
Perfect. What goes with the butterfly? All right, so say what you are again. Yeah. What goes with the flower? Nice.
What are you?
Roots. Nice. What goes with roots? Nice. Okay.
Door.
I'm the knob.
So I take the knob. Okay.
She's going so unpredictable. You're wet. A fan. Okay. Support group.
Nice.
Okay, I'm cheerleaders. Okay.
All right, so what are you?
I'm a fan.
You're a fan? Okay.
Fan of the game.
This will be the last round. For this one, everyone adds something in, and once everyone's in, you'll be all done. So it starts with a fan.
I'll take the bed. Okay. I'll take the bed. I'll leave the pillow. Hello. Okay.
Great. And what are you?
The pillow.
Pillow. Okay. This will be our last round.
Okay.
This one, everyone adds something in, and once you're all in, you're done.
Okay. I have one.
Can I take myself?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm taking the lawyer.
Perfect. Okay, what are you?
The criminal.
The criminal. I love it. This will be the last round.
Okay.
For this one, everyone adds one thing, and once we're all in, we'll be done.
Oh, board. He's a board. Board.
Like Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek. Yeah, there's somebody could be Vulcan. Could be Vulcan. Okay. So give her the board Vulcan thing.
Okay, so what are you?
Vulcan.
A Vulcan. Okay, this will be the last round. This one, everyone will add one thing in, and then once you're all in, you'll be done. We'll grab a seat. And starting with Vulcan. Perfect. All right. Welcome back, everyone. How was that? It was great. It was fun. What was great about it? What did you enjoy? Who was yelling great? You were yelling great.
You know, the creativity of it, because it made us be flexible and like you said, build up on others, and just we went all over the place.
Yeah, you went all over. Everyone goes all over the place. And it was also a good opportunity for me to take a failure bow because I didn't explain the rules very well. I didn't make it clear that you just do 3. So I'm owning myself there. I loved what I saw. You're now all officially improvisers. You've done it. I've deputized you. Okay, so give yourselves a round of applause. You've done it. This is all improv is. This is yes-anding, right? Someone has an idea, someone acknowledges the idea, and then adds something else. You're a flower, I'm a petal, I'm a worm. All right, let's reset it. If it starts with a worm, maybe I'm a fishing hook, and I'm a trout that's caught on the fishing hook, right? You go in all these directions, but you saw all of that was yes, saying, yes, this is true, and what can go with this idea? A couple of things I want to call out. Was there ever a moment, once you really got going, where someone had an idea and in your head you said, oh, well, obviously the next idea is going to be this, and then someone came in with something completely unexpected? Yeah, right? And then you're like, oh, that's awesome. That for sure could be that too. This is happening a lot, right? That's the magic of improv. That's what generates the funny, like the laughter, really, where it comes from that surprise. And that's creativity, right? That is where new ideas come from, that spark. It's really fun and it's exciting, right? This is where people get really drawn in. Another thing I want to call out that I think I saw happen, was there ever a moment when you were there in the middle of a circle and no one came out for a second? What was that feeling like? You have to be patient. What? Lonely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, right? It's true. Yeah. Well, and you want to be like, you can come, you can do it. But that moment where you put yourself out there and you're like, here's an idea, and then there's that heartbeat pause where you're wondering, like, did I just break the game? Did I come up with an idea that no one can add anything to? And maybe this is a tenth of a second, right? But that moment, it's a panic moment, right? It does not feel good. And then when someone comes in and adds to that idea, what's that feel like? Relief. You say that again.
Relief.
Yeah, he said, ooh, relief. I like that first version, right? It's relieving. It's a feeling of support. It's the proverbial arm around your shoulder, like, you've got this. This was a good idea. I'm going to support you. This is the crucial element of yes-anding. It's the first person to say yes to an idea and giving that person who put themselves out there that feeling of relief that I have support and my idea is validated. Even if that's not the perfect idea just yet, that feeling of, oh, someone's got my back. When and where can we use that as HR leaders? Where is that moment really helpful? What do you think? Everywhere. Coaching someone. Yeah, tell me more about coaching. Yeah.
Well, if you have a conversation with someone, and you allow them to open up and say, this is what I did, or I want to admit or recognize this about myself. How do I handle it? Yeah. What would I do? So we give them that safety that they can just open up.
I love that. Yeah, as a coach, thinking about just listening to what someone's going through and then repeating it back in your own words, right? Really validating what their experience is. Super good use of yes-anding. The and is really like, here's another direction we can move this conversation in, right? It doesn't even have to be a solution in that sense. Where else can we take on that I've got your back moment using this mindset? Project development. Tell me more. How does this work in project development, do you think?
There's a particular project team I've been on for 3 years now, and there was a lot of yes-anding. We're safe space, so we feel comfortable. That's great, but what if we added this, or have we considered this, or we should look at this? So it kind of forms of yes-anding, and it's evolved over those 3 years to become a lot better.
I love that. Yeah, and as a team works together for a long time, you develop more trust, more ability to support each other. So I love that. That is really the two big things I always want to call out. Yes-anding is not always about coming up with the big, bold, wild ideas. It can often just be being that second person to say, I've got your back. Let's keep this conversation moving forward. Kind of to go back to your earlier question of the half-baked idea. The person who's teeing up the half-baked idea, just giving them 1% more of that idea is a version of yes-anding. Saying like, I like parts of this. This is a part I think is good. Keep improving it. Come back to me. Other than saying, that's a half-baked idea. Come back to me when it's fixed. Completely different approaches here. So to close out, because I know we're at time, I'm a consultant, so I have to give you a 2x2 matrix. It's kind of part of the whole deal. And I think about what the value and the cost of saying yes and versus saying no. Because you're not going to say yes to everything. If you said yes to everything, you'd probably be in jail by the end of the month, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is think consciously about what does the situation call for, adventure or safety? What do we get from saying yes and? All the stuff we just felt in that exercise. Flow, energy, everyone was participating. Adventure, new ideas, everyone was included. Right? I didn't have to make rules. Everyone was jumping in when they had an idea and watching and on their toes. The cost is it takes effort. I had to get you out of your seats. I had to encourage you. I had to re-explain the rules because I messed that up. You have to let go of control. No one in that group got to decide where you were headed. And maybe some ideas you're like, that's weird, I don't like that so much. But then the decks are cleared and you get to something new, right? So some of that can be a cost. It can be really hard for some leaders to let go of control if you're truly taking this mindset. And you can go too far too fast. There are many workshops where I do that exercise and I say, hey, that's not an appropriate idea. Let's try again, right? So you sometimes have to rein it in. You can go a little bit beyond. And that in the project sense, you can come up with ideas that aren't feasible or you don't have time for, right? So you do have to set some boundaries. What do you get from saying no? Oh, the last thing, with the cost, this effort thing, to be really clear, that exercise we just did, we did it for about 6 minutes. If we did it for 15 minutes, you would have been looking at me sideways saying, when are we done? Right? So there's a real benefit to time limits, right? You don't want to do this forever and ever, it gets exhausting. Value to saying no, you avoid risk, you avoid change. Sometimes that's what you need. We need safety, we need to circle the wagons, and sometimes saying no allows you to explain why. That's what I mean by constructive conflict. No, we're not going to do that because we tried it 5 years ago and we learned a lot. So we're not going to do that again. And someone might say, oh, I had no idea. I just got here 2 years ago. That's really helpful to learn. But the cost of saying no is obvious. Takes the air out of the room. People feel excluded. No one likes having their idea shot down. And it prevents those creative ideas from coming. Because some of those ideas you just came up with in those groups were brilliant, that we never could have scripted, right? That's you being inherently funny and interesting people, right? So it allows people to show their creativity. This is really important. If you take one thing away, it's have this little decision tree in your head the next time a new idea comes. So to wrap up, I'm going to skip a couple things because I want to get to, we didn't have time for this one. I wanted to really recap the 2 big things we wanted to cover. And I will give you these slides, so don't worry. You can take photos of me. I'm always happy to be photographed. Fear of failure and yes and. The things I want you to take away from here are lower the cost of failure, come up with a way to encourage learning by doing and making mistakes, and find ways to roll into yes and type thinking and as many opportunities as possible, especially in opportunities where you're looking for new ideas and you're trying to set a tone for your culture. This is how we talk to each other about work. We take a yes and approach a little bit more, 1% more, one more idea a day gets yes anded instead of shot down. If you liked what we talked about today, I'd love to work with you. So this is my quick pitch. These are happy people in one of my improv workshops. I lead manager training workshops on all sorts of topics like feedback and coaching. I do team offsites for this type of work, team communication trainings. I do a lot of speaker coaching. So I do a lot of one-on-one work with people too. I've been speaking here at HR Star, met a ton of my favorite clients at this conference, so I'd love to work with you. The best way to get in touch, fill out this form. This is feedback for what you liked, what could be different, and also at the end, you get all these slides. So let me know what you thought. Let me know if you want to keep chatting. Otherwise, I'll stick around if you want to say hi. I've got cards and whatnot. But take the materials, teach this stuff to your teams. Have a great rest of your evening, and hopefully see you at a future workshop.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.